This is my audience for my final speech.
Can you hear him, Odell?
Woo! Now, if you have heard this phrase before, then you know exactly who says it and why it is so famous over the course. The man who says this is known as Richard Morgan Fleer, also known as Ric Flair. Now today I'll be talking about who Richard Morgan Fleer is, Ric Flair's wrestling career, and how he earned his two famous nicknames, the Nature Boy and the Dirtiest Player in the Game. To start off with, we'll be talking about who Richard Morgan Fleer is. Now Fleer was born February 25th, 1949 in Memphis, Tennessee, but he now currently resides in Lawrenceville, Georgia. Fleer has had 5 wives over the course of his career and has 4 children named Reed, David, Ashley, and Megan. Now, a little fun fact, Ashley currently wrestles in the WWE today under the name of Charlotte Flair in the women's division. Now, Richard Morgan Fleer is not his actual real name. He was actually born Fred Phillips by his birth parents, Luther and Oliver Phillips. That wasn't until he was adopted from the Tennessee Home Children's Society by Richard Regan Flair and Catherine Virginia Kingsmiller. Now, during Flair's private school days, he took particular interest in 3 sports: football, track, and you may guess it by now, wrestling. Now, Flair is actually really good at football and earned a scholarship from the University of Minnesota. So Flair went there under the football scholarship, but after his freshman year, he dropped out. And since Flair was working at a bouncer for a bar, he happened to meet Olympic weightlifter Kent Patera, and which then Patera introduced Flair to the AWA promoter Vern Gage. Secondly, I would like to talk about Ric Flair's career. Now, as I talked about before, Fleer was working at a bouncer for a pub after college, and Fleer met Gage as the AWA promoter. So Gage decided, hey, I'll take Fleer under his wing and decided to train him as a professional wrestler. And so during this time, Fleer took the name Ric Flair. Now, Ric Flair's wrestling career almost ended before it even began. Flair was involved in a really bad plane crash that killed the pilot and severely injured the rest. Flair broke his back in 3 places, and the doctor told him, "You'll never wrestle again." But Flair had other ideas. Flair went through tremendous amounts of therapy and recovery in order to go back, and 8 months later, Flair was back wrestling. Pretty impressive. Now, Ric Flair won his first singles title by beating Paul Jones to become the NWA Mid-Atlantic TV champion. Now, before we dive deeper into all of Ric Flair's title reigns, we will talk about one reason why Ric Flair is regarded as one of the greatest superstars of all time. Not in his factions, his groups, or whatever you want to call them. Now, Flair was part of 2 of the most dominant factions of WWE history, the 4 Horsemen and Evolution. Now, first we will talk about the 4 Horsemen. The 4 Horsemen consisted of Arn Anderson, Walt Anderson, Tully Blanchard, and Ric Flair. Now, these 4 men absolutely dominated the NWA scene. They used their numbers to their advantage time and time again, beating up superstars like Dusty Rhodes and Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, other wrestling legends. And they used their numbers to their advantage to help them win titles for the group, and just use their numbers to their advantage just to take over the company. And that's pretty much what they did. And they set the foundation for future factions in the future. Just like the other faction Flair was a part of, and that was Evolution. Now, Evolution have members Triple H, Randy Orton, and Batista, and Ric Flair as well. Now, Evolution was a more modern-day version of the 4 Horsemen. They dominated the WWE in the modern day. Those 4 did the same thing the 4 Horsemen did. They dominated opponents to get the advantage. They held most of the titles. They dominated the WWE scene until some major issues caused the group to break up. Now we will talk about all of Ric Flair's title reigns. Ric Flair is a 16-time World Heavyweight Champion. He is an 8-time NWA World Heavyweight Champion, a 6-time WCW World Heavyweight Champion, and a 2-time WWF Champion. He is also a 5-time NWA United States Champion, a 2-time NWA Mid-Atlantic Television Champion, a 1-time WCW Intercontinental Champion, a 1-time WCW United States Champion, a 2-time WCW Tag Team Champion, a 3-time WWE Tag Team Champion, and a 1-time WWE Intercontinental Champion. It's pretty impressive for one superstar. Now, to take this into perspective, Ric Flair has won 16 World Heavyweight Championships, as I stated earlier. Now, over all the years of wrestling, only one other superstar has accomplished that feat, and that man is John Cena. Now, lastly, I would like to talk about Ric Flair's nicknames. Now, as I stated earlier, his are the nicknames the Nature Boy and the Dirtiest Player in the Game. Now, Ric Flair earned the Nature Boy nickname by defeating the original Nature Boy, Buddy Rogers. Ric Flair and Buddy Rogers had a match, and Flair put him over in the first match, so Buddy Rogers gave him his nickname. But Flair took the Nature Boy style to another level. He would come down to the ring with his hair all like fixed up. He'd come down in like multiple color robes, like yellow, blue, like fancy colors, so people would notice him. He'd walk around the ring like you own the business, you know, like going down the ring yelling, "Woo!" and like keep doing that. Just like Ric Flair would just walk around like strut his stuff, do like his little dance, his famous dance. Where Ric Flair would like during his matches he would like oversell every move, but that's what made him the Nature Boy. But he also earned the nickname the Dirtiest Player in the Game. Now, the reason he got this nickname was because after the plane crash, Ric Flair had to adjust his wrestling style. Now, before the plane crash, Flair would do like big moves like suplexes, and a lot of moves that involved the back area. But since he broke his back in 3 separate places, he couldn't really do those moves anymore. So he adapted to the dirty player style, which he would like occasionally poke superstars in your eyes, give them low blows, and do anything to gain a slight advantage over his opponent and possibly win it. So, Ric Flair would just continuously use the dirty player tactics in order to gain an advantage over any superstar. And that's why, like, with those two nicknames he has, that's why he's regarded as the Nature Boy and the dirtiest player in the game. So, in conclusion, we have discussed who Richard Morgan Fleer is, Ric Flair's wrestling career, and how he earned the nicknames the Nature Boy and the dirtiest player in the game. Now, the reason Ric Flair is regarded by his peers and fans alike as the greatest wrestler of all time is for multiple reasons. Ric Flair has done it all in his career. And like, I mean, and every time you go to wrestling, all you hear is "Woo!" every time by all the fans because they know who that is. And with his Nature Boy style, he just became so popular all over the world. Now, the next time you hear about Ric Flair on the news or social media, then I hope you have learned a little more about him. But today, if you have not learned about Ric Flair or Richard Morgan Fleer, then I hope today you have learned something new about him. Thank you for your time.